You could go back in time and you could either vote for Kamala Harris or Donald Trump. Who would you vote for?
Donald Trump.
For sure. Why so?
Well, I did vote for Kamala, but it would have been a bad idea. I think Trump's doing a great job. I think he's passed some good laws. I think he's beneficial to the community. I like some of the laws he's passed, and
Like some laws. Like, could you tell me like a law that you like of his?
I like the Take It Down Act. I think no virtual fake photography and all that nonsense is illegal now.
Okay.
Isn't there no tax on OT now?
The first one was bipartisan. The second one's also bipartisan. That's a part of the big beautiful bill, which also cut 420,000 children off of their free school lunch and breakfast on average every month, which will be starting here within the next few years. Secondly, we can also point to the fact that there's 2.5 million people cut off their food stamps. A million people cut off their food stamps on average every month, and then also over 10 million people cut off their health insurance, according to a Congressional Budget Office estimate.
All right.
It
So
also
why?
adds
So why?
trillions of dollars to the debt.
So why don't you? Why do you not like Trump? Because yours. What was a big reason he somebody white? But like I thought he was found not guilty in the New York.
No, he
Um,
was held liable. He was found guilty in a criminal court.
was he? I don't think he was. Not in a criminal.
Or
Not in
not
a
a
criminal
criminal, in a civil
sense.
court. Sorry, I meant to say found guilty in a criminal civil court. He was found guilty in a criminal court for a felony case, but I meant to say found guilty in a civil court. It's the same notion. He was held civilly liable.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. But so you saying though? So the tax on OT and bills like that, like they're not. They're in process. Is that what you meant, or they are? Are they done? Like, because when I
Well,
brought those
what
up,
specifically? The big beautiful bill?
um, yeah, like you don't support that or what?
No, I just told you that was incredibly harmful to people in general.
I
So
think deep fakes and AI images that are used in a
that was
non.
bipartisan. This is something
Oh,
partisanly supported, right? Those aspects of the big beautiful bill are partisanly supported. The fact that it's cutting for 420,000 children off of free school lunch and breakfast, 2.5 million people off their food stamps every month, and then also over 10 million people off their health insurance, and then also cutting or adding trillions of dollars to the debt. So it's not fiscally responsible, and it's just harming people.
see, I didn't know about the 20,000 kids part. I didn't know that.
420,000 children every month.
Dang, yeah, I don't like that. I didn't know that. See, I'm 20. I have a lot to learn, my man. But
Absolutely. I
I
mean,
mean,
so then, like, given that you do know that, like, would that be like a policy you support? Because the policy disproportionately cuts taxes for the rich and wealthy, and then takes children off of free school lunch and breakfast. Like, that's a very small portion of the budget. Why do you do that? You know, like that's like really
yeah,
interesting why
I don't.
Republicans see that to be prioritized in their bill.
I don't like that. I didn't know that, man. I don't agree with that. I don't stand by that. Like I said, I did vote for Kamala.
Kamala.
Um, yeah, Kamala. But yeah. I mean, over these the past year, I've been more leaning towards Trump. But yeah, there are certain things I definitely need to be more educated about. But that's all, man. You definitely raise an eyebrow of mine, but thank you for your time.
For sure. Appreciate you coming up. Why do you support Donald Trump?
So I think it's because of like the lawfare. But my
Okay.
question to you is like specifically with the E. Jean Carroll case, what's the difference between a criminal court and what's the other one? Like
Civil court.
a civil court. What's the difference?
Yeah. So the difference is going to be standard of evidence, and like what type of punishments can come from the case, or like the mandates that are in place. There are different laws that apply to them. So there are just like a few things, but they still have like a jury. They still have the same court structure with a judge, and they have a difference in evidence accepted based upon preponderance of evidence versus beyond a reasonable doubt
So
versus
I mean,
the
if he
Constitution.
actually this lady,
She did, or he
like
did.
why wouldn't he go to a criminal court? I mean, that's a bad, like, I mean, you would think
Because it was
he'd be
past the
in
statute of
jail.
limitations for criminal cases in New York at that time. So
And
after
the
a certain amount
statute
of
of limit.
years, after a certain amount of
Okay.
years, no matter the level of evidence, they are not allowed to try it in a criminal court. I think they should have been able to. Um, I don't believe in a statute of limitations for essay cases. I think that's crazy.
So what's so what's the statute of limitations in New York then?
It was like 5 years at the time.
So let me ask you this. If he did the crime 5 years in one day compared to like 5 years or like 4 years and 364 days, he would be able to be charged in a criminal court with
No,
the same evidence?
he wouldn't have been able to. The day after the context in which the statute of limitations, they wouldn't be able to try them regardless of the level of evidence.
Yeah, no,
Push them out
but
again
what I'm saying is
in a
like
criminal case.
4 years and 364 days. So
I
like
don't know what kind of
right
point you're
before.
making. What are you trying to say?
What I'm trying to say is like if he was caught or he was brought to court just under the statute of limitations with the same evidence, he would be able to be convicted in a criminal court?
Well, we'd have to see the criminal case, but I do believe that that would have happened, especially because the context of the situation would have been differently. They would have specifically got his DNA on the dress because he would have been mandated to give it up, whereas specifically in the civil case, he never gave it up, which would have, under his view, proved that he wasn't at the scene of the crime. So he had best reason to give up his DNA to prove that he was at the scene of the crime, but he never
He
did.
didn't give up his DNA?
No. And he's allowed to do that in a civil case, but in a criminal case, he would have been mandated to give it up.
Well, why wouldn't he just give it up to prove his innocence?
What's that?
Why wouldn't he just give it up to prove his innocence?
Exactly. Like, you know how Trump is. If he had the ability to like get, to like own the liberals and to prove them wrong, he would do it immediately that he could, right? He wouldn't wait and let people defame him, right? So the idea that like he didn't give up his DNA, to me, incriminates him. That's one of the best indicating factors as to why. Not only that, but also the fact that he lied on multiple occasions. Like, why is he lying? I can tell you which his lies were. He said that specifically they never met, but there's a picture of them together. And then he said that she was quote unquote not his type, but then in a deposition mistook her with his ex-wife, indicating that they're both his type or both not his type. So he would have either way. So and also that's a sick thing to say, right? That's a sick thing.
I just don't understand why he wouldn't be in jail. Like if he said all that, like that just seems obvious to me.
Well, I mean, if it is true, and you shouldn't use that as a reason to not believe it's true. You should just use it as a reason to say that he should be held accountable. A lot of people do use that reasoning. I'm not joking. Like, a lot of people use that reasoning and they say that just because it is the case that he wasn't held accountable means that he must not be guilty, which is like the craziest thing that actually reinforces him being able to get away with it.
Nah, man. I mean, I have a 12-year-old daughter, and man, like I think a lot differently about women since I have a daughter now. There's no way. I mean, like that's crazy. If he didn't give up his DNA, like that's almost an admission, I think. He actually didn't give up his DNA?
Yeah, he didn't give it up. He chose not to give it up within the time slot allotted. He did so. He tried to like give it up right after the time slot allotted, knowing it wouldn't get accepted, to be able to extend the court processes to make them take longer. That's what the judge indicated.
All right, and then what about like all the other court cases? Those all got dropped.
No, he was convicted of 34 felonies and sentenced. He's a convicted felon.
Which one was that? The 34?
34 felonies?
Yeah,
the
yeah.
falsification of business records in the first degree, which is a Class E felony in the state of New York because it was involved with a predicate crime, an underlying crime. So like he was committing another crime in furtherance of the original.
But then they dropped all that stuff about like him having evidence in his house and the stuff in Georgia.
No, you mean the documents case? That was dropped by a Trump-appointed judge, and I mean that in of itself, I think that was like a case against him that I think is legitimate. But I mean, even throwing that away, that's fine. Like I don't know how that gets rid of the effect of all the other cases.
It just seems like it all just came together all at once. I mean,
What do you mean?
I think that's a big reason that a lot of people didn't or voted for him.
What do you mean it all?
Because
You mean that he was held accountable?
yeah,
For a
I mean,
bunch of
like
different things?
everyone, like like they were just trying to use law against him, the lawfare, you know? They were just trying to take him down for whatever reason.
Yeah, how is this lawfare? You're just saying it's lawfare without actually giving any evidence or reason.
I don't know. It just seems a little sus, but at the same time, I think that it's a little sus he didn't give up his DNA either, though.
I think there's a lot more things that would indicate that he's guilty, right? And I've shown you a lot of those things. I mean, we can keep going even further. I mean, why was he closest friends with Epstein, right, for like 15 years?
Yeah, I still don't want that to come out.
Yeah, why did he say that the 90s was a different time and that people just don't understand what it was like in the 90s?
90s were a different time, but that still doesn't excuse.
Yeah, why would he say things like that?
Yeah. I don't know, man. I think this was like the last thing that I needed to know, like the difference between the criminal and the civil. But I think you and Dean got me, man. Like, I think I'm turning a corner. I don't think this guy, he said that he wasn't doing like the Project 2025, and like there's like a counter on there. Like,
Yeah, he said he
man,
wasn't going to do Project 2025. Then they fulfilled most of Project 2025. He put people that literally co-authored Project 2025, a part of his administration, including his vice president, along with the fact that they literally have admitted to, right, involving themselves with Project 2025. So they completely lied to everyone in saying that they weren't
yeah.
affiliated with Project 2025, and they got away with it. Do you see how they're able to just like lie shamelessly and get away with it? It wasn't just that. It was him saying that he was going to reduce the gas prices and the grocery prices. Those were literally lies while he was advocating for policies to increase prices in America, right? Through the context of tariff policy, which every economist was indicating puts upward pressure on prices.
Oh, yeah, yeah. The tariffs, too. Hold on now. So it was my understanding, and this is something that I'm hearing from you and Dean, like the tariffs aren't paid for by the other country.
No, they're paid by the American businesses importing the product, and it's passed down to the consumer because it's an aspect of cost of production and distribution that is going to be more likely to be passed down to the consumer than other forms of taxation that are placed upon profit mechanisms. Or well, basically the profits that you get from things like income.
So let me ask you this, like for instance, let's just say if China puts tariffs onto us, are we paying that tariff or the Chinese people paying that tariff?
The Chinese people will be paying that tariff. Not only the businesses importing our products, but also their consumers. So
So
our
why is
businesses will be impacted that rely on exports. So like American farmers that rely
yeah.
upon exporting their agricultural goods to China, right, as a huge aspect of their demand, right? That is all going to be significantly reduced because of the fact that they have been imposing tariffs on us in retaliation to us imposing more tariffs on them.
So but so they would put tariffs on us and we would retaliate against them even though their citizens were paying the tariffs that they put on us?
No, so essentially the argument was that like we place tariffs on them, and then they will place tariffs on us in retaliation to try to bring us down. So they'll try to bring us down to the same level that we were prior, right? Because we're doing like a trade war, right? Essentially, is that tariffs impose trade wars where both sides, both countries, then have like an incentive to essentially target different types of trade barriers against each other to sort of like harm each other's economy so that they can bring them to the table to negotiate. So it just creates bad relations for negotiation, like especially with our allies. I mean, we don't need to be doing that with our allies, especially.
Well, I mean, if I'm picking up what you laying down, it sounds like when we put a tariff on Canada, then we're paying that tariff that we're putting onto them.
Yep.
So why would a tariff even be good in the first place? Like, how come you say like the ones that Biden kept from Trump are good compared to what Trump's doing?
Yeah, so I actually like to some degree disagree with some of them that they kept under the Biden administration, but I can acknowledge the distinction between targeted tariffs applied on specific industries to build up specific like specialized manufacturing in the United States, comparative to the types of universalized tariffs that Trump's advocating for. Universalized tariffs that Trump's advocating for are significantly more harmful to the economy, especially on an overall basis. And the policy that Biden engaged in significantly increased manufacturing investment, accounting for inflation in this country, whereas under Trump, it's declined.
So targeted tariffs. So what do you mean by that? Like you mean like a specific product
A specific product or specific industry.
compared to Trump? He just did everything
Hmm.
coming over from China or whatever.
Yep. And it's not just China; it's countries all around the world too.
But they're not strategic
Not very much. Like
or
he claims it's
targeted.
like some people claim that they're like retaliatory, but they're really not. Like if they were retaliatory, you would put it up to the exact same type of extent. Reciprocal, I meant. If they were reciprocal, it'd be up to the same extent that they put it on us. So it'd be on the specific industries they put it on us, and then we would go to the table and be like, let's talk about this. It wouldn't be across the entire economy.
Hmm. So and so the reason I bring up tariffs is because I do Instacart on the side, and I grocery shop for people every single day. And I know grocery prices are not down. And I live in South Carolina.
Hmm. Yeah,
And
and,
so
and
that's why I'm
they're
like,
likely to go
man,
up.
none of the stuff that he was saying in the campaign is what he's doing. Like
Hmm.
that's what I'm just coming to the conclusion of. Like at first it was just like, they're just picking on Trump just because he's like a celebrity or a rich guy or something. But it kind of seems like he's just trying to, it's almost like he uses money to like pay his way out of being held liable. Like that
He's
was,
using his power to avoid accountability. And that's why people assume that because it is the case that he hasn't been held accountable, that somehow he's not guilty. And then people fall into that sort of ideology. And then all they hear is that we're just arguing against them and we're just going to be against them in any set of circumstances. And that's not true. We can acknowledge things that are bad and things that are good. Like I can, like for example, like I've acknowledged yesterday on live how Donald Trump specifically has now realized that he needs to defend Ukraine, right? He's actually realized that we can defend Ukraine against Russia and we can get back all the land that Russia got specifically up to. And we just need to hold out with NATO and we'll be able to do that in terms of funding Ukraine and backing Ukraine. And that's exactly what he put out on True Social. And that's something that we'll acknowledge. Like we agree with him on that point. He's changed his mind. That's good. But at the same time, we can acknowledge everything bad that Donald Trump has done, all of the horrible, atrocious things that he's done, while also acknowledging, right, if there would be anything that he would do that would be in accordance with what we'd agree with.
man, it's just like, man, our country was so expensive under Biden. And so I was just like, you know, we got to do something new. But it's just like like what I'm coming to conclusion of is like he's not doing anything that he said it at his rallies. He's not doing any of it. It seems like he's actually just doing Project 2025, which he
Yeah,
said he wasn't going to do.
yeah, exactly.
I'm
Well,
kind of mad, man.
is there anything else you'd like to talk about or add before we go on to the next person?
Nah, man. Thanks for explaining that to me. Thank you. I think you
Appreciate you.
guys got me though, man.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate you coming up.